Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's broadcast on behalf of Brixton Inner Space Outreach. My name is Lygia, and it's my privilege and pleasure to share some thoughts with you on the subject of expectations and letting go. I'm sure it's happened to you as it's happened to me many times. You work hard, you want to do things in a right way, people don't behave, you don't get the results that you want. And there is disappointment, there is anger often and frustration, even resentment. And all of this destroys our peace in a terrible way. So there is, first and foremost, peace in acceptance and calm, power, a sense of well-being. Let me just tell you a story about my colleague Steve. He and I were teachers, and he did the timetable. And at the end of the year, he gave me my timetable. I took one look at it and I noticed he'd given me 2 hours of psychology A-level teaching on a Friday afternoon. And I said, Steve, it's impossible to teach teenagers anything on a Friday afternoon, never mind a subject like psychology. He said, too bad. I've done it now. It can't be changed. I said, I'm going to tell the head. He said, tell whoever you like. I'm not changing it. So I told the head, who instantly took one look at it and said, oh, that's silly. I'll talk to him. The next day, coffee morning, end of term, very pleasant. He said, Lygia, can I talk to you? And we moved into an adjacent room. I was expecting him to give me my timetable. And he started shouting at me. Who do you think you are? You think you own the place. I was very shocked, and immediately I thought, he's in trouble. He's not allowed to talk to me like this. But then I noticed this terrible expression of pain and anger in his face. He took this whole thing extremely personally, and quick as a flash, I said, look, Steve, I'm so sorry. This timetable has caused you problems. Forget about it. I will manage. Please, don't worry. And he went, oh, mid-sentence, and left the room. Must say, I kind of felt a bit depressed. I wondered what I was going to do, but I could not ignore Steve's pain. I decided to accept it. And then I felt a sense of calm. Not particularly happy, but a sense of calm. The next day, I was in my room working and he walked in. And I thought, I wonder what he's going to shout at me about now. And he said, he had this piece of paper in his hand. He said, Lygia, I've redone your timetable. Here it is. He said, I've given you 5 1-hour lessons in the morning, 9 or 10 o'clock. Anybody that teaches will tell you the students are so alert and engaged in learning if you have them as early in the week as possible and as early in the day as possible. I was completely flabbergasted. I said, Steve, that is so kind of you. And he said, no, he said, it's my job to give teachers what they need to do their job. I'm just doing my job. And off he went. I must say, after that, I noticed there was a deep sense of cordiality in our relationship in a very natural way. They say that one can lead a horse to water, 20 cannot make him drink. And when we try to force the horse to drink, it'll make a terrible fuss. But there is no substitute for when you accept things with a loving heart, with compassion for another person. It gives them a chance to examine their conscience for conscience or right or wrong or good behavior or other options kick in. And that's what happened to Steve. He changed because he was free to change. He was not being forced. It came from a moral place of right and wrong. And that's such a good place. It's freedom. So often we work so hard and we don't get a good result, but we have a saying with the Brahma Kumaris that there is benefit in the drama. And if I choose to look for that benefit, I will see I become stronger. I become a stronger human being, more experienced with dealing with life's challenges or learning what not to say or what not to do. But there is benefit in the drama. And when I do meditation, I find my response to Steve, this compassionate response, came out of nowhere. I didn't think about it, and quite honestly, it was not in my personality to accept wrongdoing as I saw it. But now, the compassionate side, the spiritual side, the thinking about what others are feeling side came into play. And all the benefit was for myself. Steve felt free, but I felt something very valuable had happened. I developed experience in my accepting self. Do meditation. See what happens to your accepting self. And warmest good wishes to you. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Bye bye now. Bye.